Welcome to Cloud Computing, Class 4 in the Fundamental Digital Literacy Skills program, presented in partnership by your local library and Chinook Arch Regional Library System. Today we will be taking a very basic look at what the cloud is. I would like to acknowledge that the land we live, work, and gather on is the home of the Blackfoot people who have gathered here for centuries. I give my respect to their history, culture, beliefs, and relationship to the land. This is also home to the Alberta Métis Nation Region 3. So here's what we will be talking about in this lesson. You can follow along and make notes in your guidebook if you like. Chances are, if you have ever used a computer, you have used the cloud, even if you don't know it. The cloud is another way of talking about the internet. The idea of shared computing resources and connectivity working way more efficiently and effectively than one computer can alone. The characteristics of cloud computing are on-demand self-service, meaning you can use it immediately and you don't have to go through a sales associate in a store. Broad network access through the internet, so you should always be able to access the cloud. Resource pooling means that many users can access the same resource, often for less expense and power than an individual could. Quick adjustments, or rapid elasticity, meaning you can tailor your cloud use up and down as your needs change. And finally, measured service, meaning you pay for what you use when you use it. And there are also three main types of cloud. The public cloud, which is open for anyone to use. Users only pay for what they're using, and it's low cost for unlimited scale. Private clouds are spaces set aside often for an organization's personal use, so you can only use it if you work for that organization. They are often more efficient since their client base is limited. And then hybrid clouds are a combination of public and private. Why would you want to use the cloud? There are a lot of reasons why you might want to be using it. It is convenient since you can access your files, meaning storage, or watch a movie, meaning streaming, at any time of day from any kind of device. It is also fairly stable, as the internet itself is not going anywhere, while more physical forms of media storage, like USBs, are constantly changing and becoming obsolete. There's also a relatively low cost associated with the cloud as well. It is secure in that your data is recoverable if something happens to your device, and there is a lot of availability for whatever task you want in the cloud. It is also cost-effective in terms of your device itself, since now you really just need something with internet access. You no longer need to pay as much attention to the internal hardware of your computer, like how much built-in RAM or hard drive space a device has, because now that is all offloaded onto the cloud. You could get by with just a tablet and still be able to do almost as much as a person with a full desktop computer. Generally speaking, the cloud is divided into three types of service. Hosting, meaning one company rents space on their cloud services to another, usually smaller company. This means the cloud renter does not need to be responsible for maintaining their own web servers, and they can easily change how much space they need. The next type is streaming, where media files like movies and music are hosted on a cloud server, and users listen and watch through the internet. This is one of the most popular uses of the cloud by people. Just think of all those different streaming services. Many are subscription-based with a monthly or annual fee. And then cloud storage is the third type. So going a bit more into what cloud storage is, this is what people are often talking about when they talk about the cloud more generally, because this is by far what most of us associate the cloud with. Think of it like a safety deposit box or even your actual account in a bank. The bank is the internet and open for anyone and everyone to come and go, but your deposit box, the cloud storage in this metaphor, is private and accessible only to you and kept separate from the rest of the building area. Cloud storage is incredibly convenient and accessible, since you can use any device to get into your storage, as long as you know your login information, of course, and you can do this at any time of the day. It's also great for recovery. Imagine something happens to your computer and you lose all of your photos. If they're saved and backed up on the cloud, your new computer will be able to access them and they aren't lost forever. Some companies, like Apple, allow for recovery and restoration of devices by syncing storage. So as soon as a change is made on one device, it is reflected across all others attached to the same account. File sharing often goes hand in hand with cloud storage and/or document creation. This allows you, as the name suggests, to share specific files with other users, either by sending a specially encrypted link, creating a special shared folder, or adding contact information to a specific file. How the files are shared will depend on who your provider is. Providers should have good instructions for their users. You can also use the cloud to create documents without needing to purchase separate software. Google Docs is probably the best example of this. It also allows for documents to be edited and shared among several users, which is great if you're doing collaborative work. By keeping your documents saved on the cloud, you have access to them from any device at any time of the day. Now, as I said earlier, the cloud and the internet are not going anywhere. Because of how flexible and accessible the cloud computing is, it is likely here to stay, and its use will only grow. You may start to find, or already be finding, that some services previously accessible in physical form are now only available through the cloud, like downloading software from the internet rather than buying a software disk. Because of this, the hope is that internet connections become more reliable, universal, powerful, and, even better, more affordable. Now, like anything computer and internet related, there are a few issues to keep in mind when it comes to cloud computing. No internet means no cloud. You do need to have access to the internet in order to access your files or programs that are stored in the cloud. The other major thing to understand is that by putting your data on the cloud, you do give up some measure of control and ownership of that data. For example, some storage companies will create copies of the data that is stored with them, which aids in recovery, but it also means you might not delete things entirely when you go to delete them, or even know that other copies are out there. It's important to read all the terms and conditions of any service that you sign up for. Another thing to keep in mind when it comes to various programs in the cloud is long-term viability. Essentially, while the internet and cloud in general are here to stay, individual companies operating within the cloud do still run the risk of going out of business or being bought out by others or simply deciding to end their service. So it is important to try to make sure that your data will be preserved or returned to you in that event. Because we are in a period of transition right now, you may not be quite comfortable relying completely on cloud technology, which is entirely acceptable. If you have very sensitive data, it might still be best to store it on your hard drive instead of the cloud, just until you feel more comfortable. And that brings us to the end of this lesson. I hope you found something interesting or learned something new from it. I wish you all the best and have a great day.